Depression. It's a sad and lonely place for those who live in it, especially for children.
My 8th grade year was the worst year of my life. It was the first year that I ever started to give into that peer pressure. It was the first year that I ever had that mental health issue where I started thinking about suicide.
1.9 million children have diagnosed depression, and by the 12th grade, 75% of them will try to self-medicate with booze or drugs. Ethan Fisher knows. He's one of them. Growing up in a home where mental health talk was taboo, Fisher was a star athlete. He spent his formative years partying, spiraling into a years-long battle with alcoholism and substance abuse.
I was getting ready to take my own life, and they stopped me.
After several suicide attempts, a horrific car accident, even jail time, Ethan says he realized unless something tragic happens, many don't have to face the dire consequences of their poor choices, and it shouldn't have to be that way.
October actually is Substance Abuse and Depression Awareness Month, and Ethan's story is one of many. He hopes his life after addiction shows others there is a way out. Ethan Fisher, who's been sober since 2003, joins me now to talk about this. Ethan, thanks for sharing your story. I think it's going to help a lot of people. Let's start with your low point and what made you realize that you could get help.
My low point was waking up in a hospital and realizing the tragic incident that happened, and I either had two choices. I could change for the better, or I could give up. And the inside of me, the competitor, just decided to take over and try to find as much help as possible and counseling and just really focusing on what was important in my life at that time. And I was getting out of prison and going back to school.
Yeah, that tragic incident was a fatal DUI crash. A man lost his life. I know that you struggled with suicide attempts, and actually suicide is the second leading cause of death among 10 to 34-year-olds. Many feel there is no hope. So what is the hope after addiction?
So the hope after addiction is learning how to love again. I think a lot of people in this society have a hard time reaching out when they're dealing with the stigma of mental health. I can't tell you how many students in schools I've talked to where all the people in the school think that there's no issues. And then one-on-one, when I talk to thousands of students, they're telling me that they're depressed, they're suicidal, they're cutting their wrists. And a lot of it has to do with this social media. There's the amount of peer pressure these students are going on in this world right now. They're getting it from thousands of miles away. And it's not just in the school that they go to, but it's on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. And they don't know who to turn to because they want to look like they're the perfect kid, when in reality, the majority of us are all struggling with something. We all have struggles, we all have issues, but we need to learn how to talk about it. And that's why I use my platform to speak, to get kids to open up about what's going on in their lives so that they can find help, whether it's a counselor, a coach, or a teacher, or a professional, but they can talk about it and that it's okay.
How do you help some of these kids with these social media influences? We talk about it so much here on the show, and the fake reality that people see online versus the real reality of others' lives. They're so young, their minds are so developed. They don't understand this. So how do you break through to them?
So a big piece of what I do with my speech is show them the timeline of everything that happened. But I show them through a story of what actually happens when you get out of middle school and high school, the reality of the real world hit. And a lot of times when I speak to middle school students, I tell them, this isn't your life. You're going to get through middle school, you're going to get through high school, and then you've got 10s of 20s of years to be who you want to be, that they've got to be strong for this point in their time to get through middle school. Which everybody knows middle school, they think that this is the only thing in their lives and that's all that matters. They don't think about the future. And so I just try to implement to them that they have a path that they can follow, and a big piece of my speech is desire. Like if they have a desire to be an actor or actress or a counselor or lawyer, that they have the ability to do that if they choose to do so.
Ethan Fisher, such good work that you're doing. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.